once I pass them out. So the first one is going to be, it says read the following, then do. And it's going to be how to create a table using MySQL. And I'm going to actually help you with that part. We're going to do that in a few minutes to make sure that you're capable of doing this. So put a 1 on this. Put a 1 at the top of this. Could I have given you a PDF? Yes, I could have, but then you could have copy and pasted all the code over and learned nothing, right? One through whenever we're done. All right, so that's 1. Everybody got it? What's that? Okay, thank you. This is 2. So the include file is going to be 2. Just one of them. This is going to be 2. Bad day to skip my class. It's always a bad day to skip my class. That's going to be 2. All right. The names input is going to be 3. By the way, this is the order in which you are to complete things. Usually I take about 3 days going over all of this. I don't have 3 days to go over it. So it is now turned into an assignment for you. This is going to help you marry your knowledge of HTML, CSS, PHP, all of that with the new MySQL. The SQL stuff is what this is going to do. Right. So that was, what did I say that was? 3, right? Okay. Now, after we've input the names, so the users input the names, we now need to store the names. So this will be number 4, right? A lot of comments in here as you look at it. Lots and lots and lots of comments. So don't get too overwhelmed. And as we keep going, you'll find that there's a lot of repetitive code as well. All right. So that was storing names. So after we've stored the names to a database, it'd be nice to be able to see what is in the database. So this will enable us to be able to show the names. So this is going to be show names. This is number 5. So in any good database, whenever manipulating stuff, not only can we store things into it and see what's in it, but we can also delete. So there's going to be 2 parts to the delete. Now we know how to do this as a 1-part form, but I break it into two different files for you on this one. So this is going to be delete record, and this will be 6. The delete record kind of is, it's more of a form. It's a combination of retrieving everything out and then asking the user for input. As you kind of look at it there, it's kind of easy to see. And then we pass that request over to actually be deleted to a file called gone. So we delete it completely out of the database at that point in time. So this would be the last file. Now this is pretty heavily commented, so I know you can read, so I'm not going to walk through every one of these. But I want to walk through the beginning, and I want to show you this particular project working. All right. All right, so this particular, let me get this up. So I don't have this exact program running, but I have something very, 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 very similar to it. So what you see in front of you would be the input name, okay, the name input form. And at the top right here, this of course is that navigation, you're used to that. So the user takes and they input an artist name, CD name, favorite song, when they click submit, that goes to the stored songs file that I gave you. So that's the code for the stored songs that just got executed. Now, if I want to see the songs show that are in the database, this would be the names, show names, and it's going to show multiple things. It's going to show the count as a primary key. It's going to show first name, middle initial, and last name. All right? That table that you see in front of you is dynamically generated based on the number of records that are in the database. So as soon as you hear dynamically generated, what structure comes to mind? Dynamically, meaning if there's one record or two records in there, there would only be 2 rows showing. In this case, I have, 20 or so in there. So 20 rows are showing, 30 rows are showing. So what structure comes into mind when I say dynamically created? I'm hoping you're thinking a loop. I'm going to loop through the database, and I want to put all the data in the database into a table until I'm at the end of the file. Wait till you get it. When you get in the code, it's already spelled out for you. Right? But it's a loop that's going to loop through, pulling each record, putting it into the table, which you know how to create a table in HTML. It's just we're using PHP and MySQL to retrieve that information and then dynamically generate this. Now, at this point in time, things are going to start feeling very familiar as you type in this code in the order in which I told you to create it. All right? So as we type it in, what if we wanted to delete a song? Well, if we want to delete a song, what song do we want to delete? Now, you wouldn't always do this for the user, but we redraw the table, and we ask them, which one do you want to delete? Which song, in your case, which name do you want to delete based on the primary key? So this is the delete record. It's just a form with the show songs code. Put the show songs and then the HTML that grabs what record. Well, I want to delete 41. So I put in 41. I click on submit. It goes to the gone PHP. And on the gone, it shows you that it was deleted and redraws the table with that record deleted from our database. And I can keep doing that, and I can say delete another one. Yeah, I want to delete 42, submit. I want to delete another one. I want to delete 43, submit. And I can see that it's being deleted out of the database. All right? You're more than welcome to write down the name that I have or the address up there so that you can play around with this material. So you can see it in action. Yours is going to be identical to this. Still going to have 3 field names. Only yours is going to be first name, middle initial, last name. Jordan, Jonathan, come up, moving from the left to right. Pick these up in order, and you want to say 1. You want to write on the top of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't get them messed up because you want to type them in order. Right? You want to type that stuff in order. So do you understand? Oh, Jonathan, he just walked out. And I don't know why. I know you have it. I don't know what I was thinking. And then make sure you write on the top of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you want to type it in order. So what we're going to do today to make sure that at the very least your database, the integrity of your database is properly composed, I'm going to help you create that table, that names table that is on the first sheet. All right? I want to show you a kind of a quick way to do it. So pull this up, open up MySQL Workspace. Hey. Yep. While we're waiting, everybody log into MySQL Workspace. You all logged in? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right. So I'm going to connect in. All right. So here we are. Now, you don't need to say use or anything like that to be able to create this particular table. All right? So what you're going to do. You're going to right-click on your database. You're going to say, you're going to right-click on your tables in your database, and you're going to say Create Table. What's up? Okay. Everybody good? All right. Table name. What's my table name going to be? It's going to be names. Follow this. Follow this. It's going to be called names. Right? It's going to be called names. I want to call my names too. Don't call your names, yours name too. Just mine. All right? All right. Right here where it says a column name, we need to create a column name called count. Now, this is going to be my primary key, all right? So, count. Then, it needs to be of type integer. I got that. It needs to be not null, so you need to make sure the NN is checked. It needs to be the primary key, so PK needs to be checked. And then you need the AI. No, that's not artificial intelligence. That means auto increment. As you add records in, it's going to automatically increment the primary key so you never have a duplicate primary key. It's going to create it for you. Never do we fully delete, if you will, a record. This is where it comes from. You know, what you put out on the internet is there forever. It's always stored in a database somewhere. It might be inactive, but that primary key always stays there because we never want to reuse a primary key because it is a unique identifier. So even when I'm deleting records, I'm never reusing my stuff. And I meant to flush that out. I'm sorry, Jordan. I totally forgot. I have to look up the command to do it every single time because it happens once a year. I have to go back and look up how to flush out the DNS entry. If you want, you can go ahead and do the other ones. You can create the other ones if you feel comfortable doing this. None of the other ones mean it, but you need to make sure that if it's lowercase, you use lowercase, and if it's uppercase, you use uppercase. The stuff is going to be case sensitive. Good? All right. If you're like, how do I modify that to varchar 20? You just double click on where it says varchar and change the 45, change it to 20. Okay, there we go. I said that should be a varchar of 1. Whoops. All right. After you've done that, you're going to click Apply, and it's going to create that table for you. There is the SQL statement. So it creates it for you. So read it carefully. Look at it before you click on Apply. Read it. Let it kind of sink in. And I'm going to click on Apply. And there's my new table that shows up. If your new table didn't show up, hit refresh. And while you can still see that, you can also come over and issue a command to say describe names like we did the other day in class, if we want to do that. So don't forget, you need to say use. You need to use that. And then you can say describe. In my case, I'll do names. And then I'll do describe names 2. Somewhere I'm losing my stuff here somewhere. There we go. Nope, that's not it. I'm not seeing my output, but it's around here somewhere. It's okay. Now, when you start coding all of this, you're going to be coming off the heels of finishing up reinforcement exercises for Chapter 7. And you're going to be used to having to type in use. When you do this, there's a command in the code that is like saying use. It's when we establish a connection with the database. All right? That's like saying I want to use this particular database, so you won't have to do that in the code. All right? Everybody good? Joshua, question? Stretching? All right. How about I make this due on Tuesday night? that gives you the weekend and a couple days. I know you have other things going on. Dabble in it. Sit down, do a couple at once. You have the database set up because you still have reinforcement exercises 7 you got to do. Right? You're going to turn this in. You're going to say, hey, this is done. And you're going to, give me a link of where it's at, and I'm going to grade it. Yeah.
So essentially, we're just a kind of follow along.
That's it.
Just follow the instructions with it.
Yep. You just type it in my code.
So this is what would it count for, like a project or a reinforcement?
I'll count this as a project.
Okay.
This will count as a project. Do you have the uppercase on again? Oh, here. Look over here at my code. It's right there. I'm still catching up grading. You guys are actually next in line. I don't, because I'm caught up in ethics. I'm caught up in my 101. I'm almost caught up in my 355, and you guys are next. So you'll probably be tomorrow. You'll be caught up. So, sound good? All right, man. Okay, so there's one other thing that I want to show you as you start completing the reinforcement exercise 7 stuff. All right? So when you do that particular exercise, so you're going to you want to keep playing like we were the other day with the things out of chapter 7, but eventually you're going to be ready to do reinforcement exercise 7. When you do that, come online, and there's several things here. One, it says, load this document in. Well, this document contains a whole bunch of stats. That one, not as much as the other one. So this is the team stats one. It has whole bunch of different stats in there. It's a flat file. It's a text file. It's a flat file. All right? Well, you need to make sure that you read this particular document. It says things to remember about the database in chapter 7. This is an accurate document that gives you some workarounds in a couple different places. Don't forget, the reinforcement exercises are going to tell you to create a new database, but you're not allowed to do that. You can only create a database with your username. You can't utilize the data file as it's demonstrated in the book, meaning you can't write to the server. You just can't do that. However, you can read things into the server, and I want to give you a workaround for that. You cannot be the administrator of this server for obvious reasons. It's not that I don't trust you. It's that I don't trust you as a new person. You don't have the administrative knowledge to be able to do anything. If you want to be an administrator on a database, you can easily do that by downloading XAMPP and installing it and playing around on your own, right? So you can do all that on your own, but this is a development learning server, and I don't want you accidentally messing things up. All right? In the book, when it says MySQL and the prompt, don't forget, you don't need to include those in any of the statements. All right? So, on to exercise 7.1. You can't create a database called baseball stats. I've told you that. So you want to create your own database. Now, right here's the important thing. The data file for 7-1, it's on Canvas, not Blackboard. And you can still do this, except for you need to modify the statement from load data in file to load data local in file. All right, now where am I talking about in here? Look at 7.1 in the end of your book. And on 7.1, step 7 says load data in file, and then the path to the PHP folders that are supposed to be on your server. That's what you don't have permission to do. You can't access through MySQL a folder on the server. There's some additional permissions that have to be set up. But what you can do is you can access files stored locally. So you're going to change the load data in file to load data local in file, and then you're going to go on with the rest of that statement. Path to the PHP to the particular file you want, which is teamstats.txt. And then you're going to put it into table team stats. All right? Might take you a couple times to do this. This is my recommendation. Take that team stats file. So this team stats file right here, download it and put it onto your C drive. Put it into the root of your computer. That way that path to the file is real short. It's c:\team_stats.txt. If you know what you're doing and you fully understand that if you put it on your desktop, the path will be c:\users\your username /desktop team_stats.txt. Knock yourself out, put it on the desktop. As long as you understand where it's going. Okay? Everybody good? So that's the big thing. Now what that's going to do is going to save you from typing in that team stats file. So you get that big team stats, all of this data here. I don't know, there's like 40 or 50 pieces of data there. It's going to save you from typing in all those records. So I promise, even though you might get a little bit of grief trying to figure it out for 5 or 10 minutes, it's still a lot quicker and a lot more accurate to import that data into the database than to type it in manually. When you are in industry, you want to do everything you can possibly do to avoid retyping literally anything. It's not being lazy, it's being consistent, and it's maintaining the integrity of your data. The minute you introduce a human being into having to retype anything, you're inviting mistakes. I don't care how good they think they are, they're going to make mistakes. All right? So this is a really good lesson in that, figuring out how to get that data in. All right? Then if you walk through the rest of that document, it's very similar. Whoops, sorry about that. 7.2, everything should be okay for that. 7.3, it's the same thing. You're going to do the HR leaders file that's on Canvas, and you're going to do the same thing. Load data local in file, path to the file, and then the rest of the statement that's in the book. When I say the rest of the statement, that's the rest of the statement that's in the book. Everything should be okay for 7.4 and 7.5. For these reinforcement exercises, you're going to create a Word document. You're going to take screen captures of everything running and loaded into MySQL Workbench, and then you're going to put your script in there for me, and that's all you have to do. You're going to submit that on Blackboard. Because I'm out of time, and I need about 3 days to cover that, what I just handed out, that's going to be your last project. You're going to type that in on your own. I promise all the code works. It's heavily commented on the first several files, so pay attention to what's comments, right? You get it in there, it'll work, and that'll be your last project, so everybody should get 100% on that one, right? Then we got the test. When's the test? Then we got the test 2 weeks from today. Yeah, so here's the deal. So I'm going to be here 22nd. Yeah, it's the 22nd. 23rd I won't be here because that's graduation. We have graduation at that time. So I'll be down sitting on a hot stage for 2 hours. Don't get me wrong, it's very enjoyable. Just the hotness kind of gets to you. But it's very enjoyable seeing every year I have students that I had as freshmen and learning communities, and it's the coolest friggin' thing watching you all walk across that stage, happy. Some of you already have jobs. It's pretty cool for me to see that. I give myself a pat on the back saying, I had a part of that. I'm not going to take credit for all of it, but I had a part of that, and it's pretty cool, especially when you go out and you stay in contact with me later on down the road. So I'm not going to be here on the 23rd, but Adam, if you want to show up by yourself, you feel free. You'll have missed the test, which could have been graded by that point in time, by the way. What's up? Yeah, in just a minute you can. Not yet. All right. I'm going to be here on Friday, and I'm going to be here on Monday, all right, to help you with any little glitches that you might have. But everything else is going to kind of be up to you all at this point. I've kind of, I don't want to say I've taught everything that I wanted to teach, because I haven't. But I've done everything that I can at this point.
For the reinforcement exercise, is it due tonight or Friday? Because I didn't know which one you said.
I can give you some time. I can give you to Friday if you need it. That's perfectly fine. I can change it to then, because I wanted to talk. I needed to talk about some of this stuff. So
It was still due Wednesday.
it may still say due Wednesday though, because I don't remember going in and moving it. So Cameron, you either stretch it or question. What's up? What's that now? Yes. Yeah, it's the only time you're doing that for a reinforcement exercise. And I've always done that. Yes. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Okay, questions about reinforcement exercise. What's up? This one? Oh, the team stats. How do you get that downloaded? So then you want to move it to, if you're ready to do that, you want to move it to your C drive. This is what I would do. Is that a Mac? Okay, that's fine. You can move it to your desktop. Let me see. The path for a Mac, let me think. The path for a Mac, and I don't have my Mac with me, all right? What's that? Okay, I think the path is /users /username /desktop, then the name of the file. And if it's not that, and I'll play with it, because every year I have to remember how to do it on a Mac, right? Okay, so one of the other things, it might be this too. They might go forward slashes instead of backslashes, and I can't remember. I think this is my big sticking point. I can't remember if users is there or not. Try those variants while you're here, and keep executing it. And one of them, I know one of them works, and you'll be able to then do the select everything from the table, and all your user stats will show up. Okay, it's one of those. Joshua.
I have a question, but it's not related to the class. It's related to your computer ethics class.
To what?
To your computer ethics class.
Okay, yeah, what's up?
My friend talked to you up there.
Yeah, come on up. That way you're not inundating everybody with information that's irrelevant to them.
So I know you said for the final paper is a position paper and whatnot. And I'm familiar with writing them, but like at the same time, are we able to use like charts or like descriptive pictures to, I guess, get our topic out, or do you just want like solid words and references to the topic?
You are more than welcome to use anything that can strengthen your position, right? As long as from a peer-reviewed journal article, that's where those come from, and you give credit for that.
Using it.
Right.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense. That actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. You got to remember, we are at an institute of higher learning, and while I'm not going to push you nearly as hard as I do my graduate students, trust me, graduate students, the first time they get feedback from me, they're like, what the, right? I want to see that you're taking that next step in enlightenment, which is where does all of this come from, so we can begin to understand and relate to the scientific method, and just how rigorous the process is of science, and that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Yep. All right, I've moved reinforcement exercises for chapter 7. That's done. Dervon, you can grab those now. Just grab them in order from left to right, like this, right? And then sit down and number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Oh no, this is all going to go up on the server, and it's going to run up on the server. No, you won't need the workbench. Nope. Monday night. Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, give me just a second. Well, oh, you need that code. Is that what you want? Yeah, give me. Let me see here. Here, I could do 2 things at once. Okay, we'll figure it out. Give me a minute. We'll look through it. Every page is not a form. As you look through it, the first couple pages are heavily commented. And then as you get further back, it's less and less comments because it's some repetitive code. Mm-hmm. I have not, but I will. We're at that Tuesday. I will not make it due later than that. All right. Where you be? Romy, bring your computer up here real quick. Stand up here with me for a minute.